Okay, so I started keeping pet pike over 5 years ago, and yesterday I caught a little tiny one. If you can see it here, about 3 or 4 inches long, and these other little fish here are little baby sticklebacks that are in there just to give him something to eat. The tank that he's in at the moment is just a temporary tank. It's about 1 foot long, 6 inches wide, 10 inches high, and eventually this little tiny pike, just hiding behind the air tube, will grow into this, and this has sort of come full circle. This, which is about 1 foot, looks a lot bigger in this up close. He's about 1 foot, and that's about this time when I released them back into the wild where I got them. And I have had about 8 or 9 pike, 2 little tiny micro pike like this. This one is not actually the smallest one I've had. Just to give you a bit of perspective, that's a 1 foot tank, and like I say, he's 3 or 4 inches long, and those are baby sticklebacks. There's about 19 baby sticklebacks in there. Keep count of them just so I know if he's at any. He has grabbed one by the tail, but it got away. Also, in my bigger tank, try and get a good view of him. There's 3 perch. What I'm ultimately going to do, I'm going to have to release all of these back into the wild. Haven't had them all that long. This pike I caught, he was caught him in a hand net, landing net. Took me about less than a minute. Sneaked up behind him, turned around and faced the net, caught him in the net, about 30 seconds, and he's a bit shy and a bit wild. He doesn't really, if he ever eats anything, it's usually during the night, which is a bit different to the pike that I've reared from younger. But anyway, these perch are only small perch. Pike's probably a year old, 2 at the most. Perch this year's, but I'll have to release them back where I got them, because if I drop that tiny baby pike in with them, they'll just eat him straight away. So yeah, he's that's about the size I let him go, about 1 foot, 12 inches long. So he's ready for the off, and these 3 little beauties ready for the off, and then I will drop in my bigger tank. This little fellow is going shy, getting a bit of stage fright, and he will go in there and a few little sticklebacks, and if he eats all the sticklebacks, I can feed him some little tiny garden worms, which I just pull up from underneath a plant pot in the garden. What I've got in there at the moment, just a tiny little filter, does the job. Feed the sticklebacks a few fish flakes, and I have got an air pump in there because if the water temperature gets hot, you need more oxygen. Cool water has more oxygen in it, warm water has less oxygen, so if it got hot, put the oxygen pump on, but the moment it's not that hot. And also when they're in the bigger tank, when he's in the bigger tank, I've got some balloons full of water in the freezer, so I don't have a chiller at the moment, but if I need to cool the water down, I'll just put the balloons, basically ice, balloons full of water, frozen, just put the balloons in there and the water temperature will drop about 2 degrees per balloon, so something like that. But these pike, extremely hardy. They live at between 0 and 20 degrees. Like I say, I've kept 8 or 9 now, been doing it over 5 years, and got quite good at it. I've never had anything die. Like I say, pike and perch extremely hardy, a lot more. Freshwater native fish tend to be more hardy than sort of, you know, ornamental fish. Goldfish and they can be hardy, but these are very hardy. Sticklebacks are extremely hardy. Apparently you can, so I've read, take them out of fresh water and put them straight in salt water and they still live, or out of salt water and back in fresh water and they still live, and they're not too sensitive to water temperature changes either, so yeah, getting a very good view of them. There they are. There's a little fella. Yeah, and these perch, just feed them frozen prawns. Go mad for frozen prawns. That's why the water's cloudy. At a shed load of frozen prawns. And the bigger pike, he'll eat more or less anything but worms, bullheads. But he's ready to go anyway. He's a foot long now. He's ready to go back where I got him. But the last one I had, I released him in a slightly further downstream from where I caught him, and he swam all the way back to sort of his birthplace where I originally got him. He was interested, and I know it was the same one. They all sort of look the same. This one's got a slightly smaller head and tail than the last one I released, but because he gave me the run around. It took me ages to catch him in the net. He gave me the absolute run around, and caught him in the net, examined him, and it was the same one, so I let him go. But yeah, keep you updated, and this one will be going back, and baby perch there be going back. Another couple of baby perch, but they look big when you get the camera up close to them, but they're only about 5 or 6 inches long, 5 inches long. But yeah, and I will try and catch an adult stickleback and put it in the tank so you can get a perspective of just how tiny this pike is. This pike. You can't really tell, but they're baby sticklebacks. They're probably an inch long. So he's 3 or 4 inches long. But at that size, the spines are very small. An adult stickleback, his spines is about 1 centimetre long. But these ones are only a few millimetres. You can barely see them. So I don't think he'll have any problem eating these. He's got to eat something, otherwise he's not going to grow. Not that I'm in any rush for him to grow, because the quicker he gets big, the quicker he outgrows my tank. But yeah, very happy. Thought I'd start today because yesterday I got the caught the small one, which is quite a feat to catch in a river, in a hand net, in a landing net. But they're too small to take lures. So first one I ever kept, I caught it on a spinner under a bridge. It was quite a small pike, but not nowhere near as small as this. But yeah, he's a handsome little fella. And the big boy. Looks big, but he's not really. Zoom out. He's not really so big. Yep, they're the fish that I like to keep. I mean, it happened from when I was a little kid, about somewhere between under 11 years old. I first spotted a baby pike, and I said to my friend, I said, "Look, I found a snake." It turned out it wasn't a snake. He said, "That's not a snake, that's a pike." But I'd never seen one before. But because of the green and the pencil-like and camouflage, to a little boy, I interpreted it as it was a snake. It wasn't a snake, and I've been fascinated with them ever since. In about 30 years. So yeah. Let's get a little bit of footage of this fella before he goes back. He'll be going back soon, and then it will be all about the baby pike. So this will be like Jackie Boy. See, Jackie Boy, that's the name, Jack Pike. Jackie Boy, the 8th or 9th. Usually call him Jackie Boy, my kids call him Jackie Boy. I did have one really aggressive one. I called him Tyrone. He was a bit of a tyrant. Anything you put in there with him, he'd be stalking and looking down the barrel at. And believe it or not, the first one I had on a spinner under a bridge, I dropped him in another side, an old tank then, a bigger tank, and within 15 or 20 minutes of being out of the bucket and in the tank, he was hunting within 15 or 20 minutes. So they are all different, slightly, although they all look pretty much the same and they share the same nature. Anyway, that's it for now. Keep you updated.